Good afternoon, all, and thank you for joining us for this special meeting of January 31st, 2024. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Kopstein, could you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we could remain standing for a moment of silence as remember all of those that serve us, as first responders, military, and those that fight for our freedoms, and we remember that freedom is not free, and there is a price to pay for democracy. Amen. Thank you. We'll do introductions, starting to my right.
Good evening, Diana Quast, Town Clerk.
Acting Supervisor Ed Lachterman.
Sergio Esposito, Councilman.
Councilwoman Luciana Howitt.
Patrick Murphy, Councilman.
David Chen from law firm Bleakley Platt and Schmidt. I'm sitting in for Adam Rodriguez as the town attorney tonight.
Thank you. So there are some resolutions that we wanted to discuss. David, could you lead us off on the first resolution?
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening. The first resolution that's going to be addressed is a resolution to, it's item 5 in the agenda. It's to authorize a special election to be held on April 16th, 2024 to fill the vacancy for the unexpired term of town supervisor. I won't read all the words of the resolution. It's there in the agenda, but I just wanted to give a little bit of background on the resolution and particularly the timing. As many will remember, about 10 years ago, this town passed a local law via referendum setting forth the procedure for filling vacancies in elected offices. This law, which is codified as Section 65-9, method of filling vacancy, allows for the appointment of a replacement or either a special election or filling via general election, whichever of those two latter methods will fill the vacancy faster. The specific languages will be filled in the shortest space of time reasonably possible. My understanding is that an appointment is not forthcoming, and that is why there's been a resolution to call this special election that fulfills the intent of the referendum and town law to fill this vacancy in the shortest possible time. I should note, also by way of background, this law predated the relatively new New York State law, which mandates a certain period of early voting. So to the extent there's questions about some of the exact timing, why we've landed on April the 16th, that law is also at play. We have to have it, I believe it's 9 days of early voting per state law. So it's those two, the confluence of those two laws, our local town law and then the state law, are why we've arrived on the particular date that we have.
Thank you, David. Any questions from the board?
No.
Okay. For this, I will open for any public comment if anyone would like to talk about it.
Hi, Mark Lieberman, Wall Street. So there's a presidential primary on April 2nd, which people will be voting in the primary. And so my question is, why are you not doing it to coincide with that event? And since you're not doing it to coincide with that event, is the town paying extra for that? And is the town managing the election, or is the Board of Elections managing the election? Thank you.
We'll give this over to our town clerk, who is our elections officer.
The Westchester County Board of Elections will be running the election, the special election for the town on April 16th, and under state law, we're not allowed to combine that with a presidential primary.
Thanks, Diana.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
I don't know if these are going to give me feedback. Just a quick comment. One, I wish there was a better time that you guys could have held this that would have encouraged more town people to be here. but I really want to just make a real modest proposal that I'll hope that you at least consider. I think that one of the biggest complaints that we have in any election season is the silliness of it. We've heard it called silly by everybody, and I do think a lot of people complain about the number of signs and banners, and there have been towns who have restricted and controlled that number. I think it's kind of a modest proposal for me to just bring to your consideration by all parties, and this is completely nonpartisan because I've not discussed it with anybody else, in that we can not prohibit signs. However, we can limit the number on any particular property and make the size of them under certain parameters. So I don't think most people appreciate having all the signs, and I also don't think it really deals with the issues, people's competencies to run town government, and also what they stand for. I would much rather see those monies that are spent on the signs being spent on having open community town forums and debates, real open debates. So that's my respectful suggestion. You can do it, you can not do it, you can have a discussion between the candidates, but I would personally like to see that. And it, like I said, it's not partisan. Thank you.
Thanks, Mel.
Thank you, Mel. Mr. Copstein?
Jay Copstein, I actually agree with Mr. Tansman if it were a general election in November. But because it's a special election, in order to get the word out, there's nothing wrong with limited lawn signs to get the word out to people who may not know about a special election. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, any other comments? All right, I actually agree with you also, Mr. Tansman. I know we do have a sign law, and you know, there's a First Amendment right that is spoken about if people want to put signs on their property, and you know, I think it gets way too cluttered myself. I have seen people put one of my signs on their property. I've had someone ask me for 5 signs, and I drive by and all 5 are on their lawn, and I'm like, personally, to me, it's wasted effort because you only need to see it once, and as that reminder, from my point of view. But once again, it is a First Amendment right, and I don't feel that that I have the right to limit that unless there's a law change that goes through a full public hearing. It's something I would definitely entertain, but you know, we would have to take a strong look at that. Other than that,
May I make one quick comment? I'm sorry.
come up to the microphone, Mr. Tansman. Thank you.
This doesn't have to be a law change. It can be a simple agreement between the two parties and the people running. I think that we're not talking about freedom of speech here. We're talking about, you know, just focusing more on spending the money to really make people aware that there is a special election. You don't have to have a partisan sign up to say that. So, once again, I'm just making what I consider to be a very modest proposal, and it can be rejected. It very well may be, because everybody's a partisan one way or the other, and they want to, you know, be able to use their funds the way they want.
Correct.
So,
I
that's
appreciate
just my
it,
point of view.
And I would encourage whoever the candidates end up being, maybe they could have that discussion.
I also just want to mention that I'm with you. I'm with you absolutely on this, but I feel that if I want to put 5 of your signs on my lawn, that I should be allowed to, but maybe the restrictions or the consideration should be more on what's on, like, shared properties or commercial properties or areas. But if I want to stand proud that my son graduates from 3rd grade this year and my sign is obnoxiously huge, I want to be able to do that. And if I want to put Ed's sign on mine for April 16th and it takes up my entire facade, I want to be able to do that. But I do understand that there are other places where I can bring my consideration that maybe what I want to do on my lawn doesn't actually have to be on someone else's lawn.
So my opinion is I think the signs do, to some degree, facilitate getting the word out. Because as you drive by somebody's lawn and you see somebody's sign as a candidate, you may stop and Google it, or you may get home and Google it. And usually, typically, that will take you to the candidate's website, which will tell you what the candidate stands for and what issues they're about. And usually, typically, on a candidate's site, there's going to be election information. There's going to be a plethora of information that you could get there, as well as their opinions, of course. But I do think it does facilitate it to some degree.
But with
But
all
your other suggestions are also
Yes.
quite good. There should be open forums. I've tried to hold debates with the chamber on a number of occasions, and got boycotted actually 1 year, which I thought was ridiculous. But when I ran, I participated in every debate possible. So I do agree that there should be more debates.
Mel, just on that note, Diane, Ed, and myself just ran, and there's not enough time to go crazy like a normal election. I think this is going to be a special election. The window is a lot shorter, so people aren't going to be out there putting signs, throughout the whole Yorktown. I'm just speaking from experience. It took months to put them out there, and I had a lot out there, but I got a lot back the next day. So it's just a little FYI.
Thank you. Yep, go on, John, we have
So Luciana's correct that on her line, it is the freedom of speech. It's
John,
not a
John,
freedom.
I'm sorry, introduce yourself. Introduce yourself.
yeah,
please.
we all know.
John McMullen, 45-year resident of the town of Yorktown. But she's right, that it is the freedom of speech issue on your own property. It's not a freedom of speech issue to put on a street corner or in a mall where there was all the signs in the mall by the post office in Jefferson Valley. That's not a freedom of speech issue.
Thanks, John.
So, thank you, John. So, and look, and I know we have candidates who ran on both sides of the party in this room. Unfortunately, you could tell people, hey, do me a favor, just keep it on your private property. Some people just don't listen to you. They feel that they're doing you a favor, where sometimes I think it hurts, but they want it out there, and it's one of those double-edged swords. I'm like very happy someone feels that they want to support me. Thrilled that they have that confidence. I'm sure all of us at that table feel that way and feel it's very special to be elected. But there's also that, hey, that's not where it's supposed to go. And, unfortunately, we don't control that. If you put it on a corner that you think is close enough to your property and it's really not. So, but yeah, it's something that definitely should be looked at more and more, and hopefully we keep cleaning up the town. I thought that this time everything got taken away very quickly, and the town the next day looked good, which is also important. But maybe there's a limit to the time out, that time that the signs are out. But that's something that once again would have to go for a law. And there are a few that we're trying to push through that are very important to safety and health, and that's going to be some of our upcoming meetings. All right, so yes.
Hi, Marcia Stone, Shrub Oak resident. If
Are you feeling better today? Better than yesterday? The mask is coming off. All right.
So if the election is held on April 16th, when would the winner take office? That's my question.
Immediately following the next day swearing in. Yeah, certification. So it wouldn't be next day. It would have to be certified by Board of Elections, and then they would get that. But it would be immediately after that certification. It would not wait until the end of the year. One of the important aspects, and it's something that our town has spoken about when this went out for public referendum, is that the people of Yorktown want to choose their leadership. Otherwise, it would be easy to say, you know, just assign someone or leave it empty. And that's not the option. There's a mechanism that was set up due to actually, I think, 2 vacancies at the time, that they could not come to an agreement or have a candidate ready in place before that. So, as many of you that have sat here, whether you agree with me or not, I believe in rights. I believe in the right of the people, and I believe in the fact that if you've already said, this is how we would like to address it, then it's our obligation, especially as it's a local law, to follow through with that, to say, you know what, democracy does have a price, but we knew that coming in. This is the thing that our people want, and there's nothing more democratic than an election. And you know, believe me, it's sometimes riskier than shooting dice, and I've done a lot of that in my years. But that being said, you need to honor the will of the people when you sit up here, and especially following the law and the letter of the law. So, you could come on up.
Hi, Susan Kavanaugh. I understand this is short notice, you know, as far as this election's concerned. Will there be an opportunity for early voting, or for people who are unable to get to the polls, will there be an opportunity for them to do mail-in ballots?
So you could sit down now. Diana, you want to take?
My understanding is that, yes, we'll have early voting, which would be 9 days before the election. Normally, it's 9 days, a day off, and then the election. In this particular case, I don't know about the absentee voting. I believe I was told that there would not be, but we will double check on that for you.
I hope there is absentee. I think that people have that. So, all right, we'll look into that. Thank you.
It's a good question.
I hope that's not a medical thing, Tony.
All right. Any further discussion on anything? Would you guys like to vote on this right now, or?
Yes.
Yeah, let's vote on it.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept this resolution to set special election to be held on April 16th, 2024, to fill the vacancy for the unexpired term of the town supervisor?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. And then I have recused myself from this next section. And Diana?
And I'm just going to note that we do have your recusal on file.
Thank you.
Just going to give Ed a second.
Seems like we do this once a day.
Recuse one.
So I firmly believe that Ed has graciously picked up where, unfortunately, the Honorable Tom P. Diana left off, and I think he should be duly compensated. So I want to introduce this into the record. I want to authorize compensation for Deputy Town Supervisor Councilman Ed Lachman, whereas the untimely death of Honorable Thomas P. Diana has left a vacancy in the elective office of Town Supervisor, and whereas in the absence of the duly elected Town Supervisor, or while the office of Supervisor is vacant, the Deputy Supervisor shall preside, when present, at the meetings of the Town Board, and shall be vested with all of the powers and may perform all of the duties of the Supervisor under the provisions of town law, with the exception that the designated Deputy Town Supervisor shall have no vote in his capacity as Deputy Supervisor on matters coming before the Town Board. And whereas Councilman Edward A. Lachman was designated as Deputy Town Supervisor by the late Thomas P. Diana, now, therefore be it resolved that Councilman Edward A. Lachman shall act in the stead of the late Honorable Thomas P. Diana as Deputy Town Supervisor, but shall remain as Town Councilman, and therewith retain his ability to vote on matters that come before the Town Board. As Town Councilman, so as to guard against a possible failure of an acting quorum in the absence of any other member of the Town Board. And be it further resolved that whereas under New York Town Law, Section 42, the Town Board shall fix the compensation which the Deputy Supervisor shall receive, which compensation may be in addition to any other compensation he may receive as a town officer. town official, or town employee. That Councilman Edward Lachman shall receive as a stipend for acting in the stead of the late Honorable Thomas P. Diana the amount of $111,390 per annum, the difference between the supervisor and councilperson's salaries, which shall be paid retroactively to January 8th, 2024, and shall continue until such a time either an appointment to fill the vacancy occurs or an individual is elected to fulfill the remaining unexpired term of the late Thomas P. Diana. Said stipend shall be in addition to the councilperson's salary of $25,080 per annum. Anybody have any comments? We're going to open it up for comments. Please be respectful. I didn't mean that for you.
Not only am I respectful, I speak my mind as well.
We welcome that.
Yes, definitely respectful. So, in recent articles and recent interviews, Mr. Lachman indicated that he doesn't have the time to do this job full-time. And so my question is he putting aside his other obligations so that he can be a full-time supervisor during this interim period?
I'd like to think that God has a funny way of working things out. That was a question that we wholeheartedly also asked. And lo and behold, his fabulous wife, who has built a network around their companies, has now fully staffed and running that, where I think she's happy to get rid of Ed a few hours a day at this point. Sorry, Carol. But yes, that was one of our, we asked. And I think that if this would be, first of all, it's very emotional to even fill this spot, so I just wanted to pause there. I think if this was last year, it would be harder, and I'm grateful that he was protected, meaning Ed and his successes were protected where they're all flowing on their own. And I like to speak on behalf of all of us, Diana included, that we don't have a doubt in our mind that he won't be not only a full-time acting supervisor, but he'll continue to do all of those wonderful things he did as a councilman. But thanks for asking the question.
Our due diligence, we asked him, is he ready, to be 100% committed to it? And he looked us in the eyes, and he is 100% committed.
And I will tell you, I'm more of a practical kind of pragmatic kind of guy. In the last 3 weeks,
Yeah.
I've seen him do the job, embrace the job, do it well. He has been totally committed. And what he has done in his personal life for his businesses is his business. But I will tell you, practically and pragmatically, the man has been Johnny on the spot. He's been here. He's been returning calls. I send him a text. I have a question. I get a text back before I even hit send. I have no doubt.
And
that
this
he
might
could
be
continue.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I have no doubt that he could continue to do what he has already been doing to a high level.
And it's very simple. If he's doing the job, he should be paid for doing the job.
He should be paid for doing the job. Absolutely. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and I do want to say that on top of all of this, I want our community to consider that he's also doing the job from multiple areas in the town hall, sitting with our departments, also because he hasn't felt it right to walk into the supervisor's office to even go through it. So like Mel was saying, to be bipartisan on different modest requests, my request really here is to ask these really smart questions, but also put yourself in Ed's position. Not only did he just lose our supervisor who was in his glory for receiving it, he also lost a really good friend. And the fact that things turned out this way, I think he's handling it really, really well.
Diana?
Yes, I just want to go back to the question about absentee ballots. According to the Board of Elections, they will allow absentee ballots, and they will also allow early vote by mail ballots.
Oh, great.
Excellent.
Jay Copton, I've got a question for Mr. Chen. The last line on page 2 on the resolution we're talking about. What is the definition of elected? Is that when the count is complete or when the count is certified?
I think it's generally when the count is certified. I don't.
I'm not asking generally. What does the law say? Because if the certification doesn't come for 2 weeks after the election is completed, what happens in that 2-week period of time?
He
He's
continues
still
to,
yeah.
he
Well,
can,
I want to make sure that he continues to get paid.
yeah,
Oh.
no, he continues to remain in the position of deputy supervisor, because that's where he's at until the election is certified, and then he assumes the role of supervisor.
Jay,
Just
he-
want to
he
make sure
vacates
the
the office.
resolution is saying that.
Yes, Jay. And then no matter when he takes office, it will be retroactive to January 8th. But thanks for clearing that out.
It runs like a typical election. Once it's certified, that's when so. Any other questions, comments? Otherwise,
Let's vote on it.
no? All right, I'm going to, do I have a motion,
Motion.
to move this? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the resolution passes, and, Ed, get back up here, bud.
You had the easy recusal.
Now that a vote is in, I would like to just address two things. One is the time constraint. There is a reason why there has not been an appointment, and I know, listening to the conversation, there's an assumption that I am the preemptive candidate from this side of the aisle. Part of the delay was making sure there is the total commitment and the ability and availability for the time to make this happen properly. It's a very, very important job, and it is something that the town of Yorktown deserves the most competent person and the person that could get things done. For the record, I was on the board of many organizations, and this past week I resigned from my last board position, which was with the Chamber of Commerce. I resigned from the board of the Sons of the American Legion, the board of the Lions, and unfortunately was not able to take another board appointment that I was asked to with our local food bank. Will I still be able to help those organizations from this seat and make sure that they're successful in their dedication to the public? Absolutely. But I needed to take away time so there can be a balance. And it was a very important aspect. I'm actually very happy you brought it up, Mark. And the other aspect is, one of my businesses, we've really totally set on autopilot with management staff that runs everything at this point. So that leaves one that my wife is a controlling partner in, and has a support staff, as was pointed out, to make sure that she is helped. And will I have some times where I want to do that? Absolutely.
Sure.
But there will be a dedication to at least 40 hours, probably 50 to 60, as my management career has dictated in the past. And I can tell you, if we have a couple more meetings like last night's, I could do that in 3 days. But I really, there's one last thing I have. I'll put it out there because not many people know. Tomorrow I have a disc replacement surgery set up. So I just hope to God I get through that fine. And that is why there has not been a declaration of running, and we will see where we go from there.
All right.
So, sure, Maura.
Why not?
Laura Gregory. So I assume that after a new supervisor is elected, there will be a new reorganization meeting. But now, is there going to be a new reorganization meeting? And I wish you just the best of health, Ed, but will there be a deputy supervisor? I mean, I'm bringing this up because you're mentioning you're going under the knife tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that might be something that should be considered. Has that been discussed?
It has been a little bit, but I think it was putting the cart before the horse, because we haven't gotten there.
Because I assume that at the original reorganization meeting, there were liaison assignments made that now may need to be reshuffled.
Absolutely. There definitely will be some. I don't know if it has to be a reorganizational meeting or just resolutions added into a meeting so we could do normal business. As it is, there'll probably be the need for additional meetings added to our schedule with some of the things that are coming in and some of the laws that have started that are actually now getting to the point where we need to have some public hearings on.
So, but is it coming up anytime soon? You're going under the knife tomorrow, Ed.
It is considered minor.
And I wish you the best.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that. And
There's no deputy.
As I've been told, there is not a mechanism for me to name someone. So at that point, you would, I think the board would have to make that decision if, God forbid something.
But that could happen. The board could make a decision to have a deputy supervisor in his absence.
If, the law states if you have a deputy
forbid.
supervisor position, the supervisor under the law picks that deputy. If the supervisor fails to pick that deputy within 5 days, then the town board has a right to do so.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
One more.
One more. Cindy.
Oh.
Cindy Secor Smith. I just want to say to everyone here and everyone out in the town listening, if anyone thinks that Ed isn't dedicated to this, they're very mistaken. Okay? I left a message that I needed to speak with him on Thursday. Margaret said she'd leave him the message. He didn't get a chance to get back to me, but he called me on Sunday and spent time talking with me about what we needed to discuss. So he's here, and he's definitely dedicated to this job.
No question.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Cindy.
Cindy,
Drive by
thank you.
Town Hall, his car's here from 7 in the morning to 7 p.m.
That's only because Carol kicks me out of the house.
We don't know what room he's in.
She needs her 12 hours of peace. All right.
Poor Carol.
So at this point, I'd like to adjourn the meeting. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming
Good
today
night,
and
Yorktown.
being part of the
Or
process.
good evening, Yorktown.